Hi, this is Anna Horford, and you're listening to Horford Happy Hour. All right, welcome to another episode of Horford Happy Hour. This week we are discussing the NBA playoffs, and our guest is James Holas, also known on Twitter as Snotty Drippin'. And he is actually also a writer for B-Ball Breakdown, Real Ball Insiders, and he is the co-host of the Dunk Tales podcast. So thank you for joining me today, James.
Thank you for having me. You forgot to include that I'm one hell of an American.
Yes, that too. I totally forgot to say that, but that is 100% accurate. So, excited to talk about basketball today. But before we do that, I want to let you guys know what we're drinking this week. So the wine for this episode is called Butter, and it was recommended to me by my aunt like a few weeks ago. And it's just like a really lovely, rich Chardonnay. And I sent a bottle to James, but he has not received it yet. But once he does, he said he's going to try it out and let me know what he thinks. So don't forget to let me know, James, how you feel about it.
All right. And while you're drinking your butter, I'm drinking a Diet Shasta and just hanging out here. And, I'm jealous of your wine choice.
What are you drinking?
A Diet Shasta. I'm not drinking a Shasta. I made that up.
I was like, wait, is that something I should know about?
I'm showing my age because Shasta is an old, gross soda that nobody likes.
Ah, okay. Yeah, no, I had no idea. I thought maybe it was like a mixed drink or something like that, but
I should have went with this. I should have went with that. So you could go out next time and try to order a Diet Shasta at the bar. And they're like, what the hell are you talking about?
I know. They'd be like, how drunk are you? Speaking of drunk, I am a little hungover today, guys. So bear with me. You went a little too hard at the bar last night, but we all have those days. So let's just, let's get into it. Let's talk about basketball. So, James, I want to know how you feel about the East this year and what surprised you the most and what surprised you the least.
About the East, I'm pleasantly surprised. After the last 3 years where we saw the Warriors rampaging through the West and the Cavs just dominating the East. Sure, Boston won the East last year, but the Cavs were the dominant presence in the East last year because of LeBron James. I was pleasantly surprised that. And obviously because of the terrible start for the season for the Celtics, where Gordon Hayward went down 5 minutes in. I was very pleasantly surprised that the Celtics maintained and played as well as they did for most of the season. That Toronto seemed to have turned a corner and changed their style up enough to be even more relevant than they've been the last couple of years. And I was really surprised and pleasantly surprised to watch the Cavaliers like melt down for the first half of the year. And that trade really saved their season. So, while I was going to the season kind of thinking, all right, same old, we're going to have Warriors and Cavs. Teams are going to be good, but, we all know the outcome. Now I don't feel like that. Right now the Warriors are injured. That's the West. But for the East, the Cavaliers still on a short thing. The Raptors have a lot to prove. And, Kyrie injury really puts a damper on Boston, but I was really proud of the way the Celtics played this year as a Celtics fan. So, it was a much more entertaining and compelling season than I thought it would be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Cavs thing is huge. I mean, how they kind of totally blew up their team and, like you said, struggled the first half of the season. And the big thing about that, though, is it's like just because it's a LeBron team, you can never count them out, even when they are looking shaky and whatnot. So I'd have to say, like, all the drama going on with the Cavs, I think that's what surprised me the most. So for you, what surprised you the least? If there was something that was like, yep, not surprising at all, I knew that was going to happen kind of thing, what would it have been? I don't want to tear my rotator cuff patting myself on the back, but, the Gordon Hayward injury was a crushing blow to the Celtics. But then a lot of the talking heads and pundits and even the smarter writers that, on social media were saying, well, Boston might miss the playoffs. They're looking if they're a 6th seed. And I watched that roster composition, and I believed in Kyrie Irving to the point where I was like, well, no, hold on, guys. I get what you're saying. For the playoffs, things are going to be a lot different and the ceiling of this team's a lot lower, but I wouldn't be surprised if Boston was still in competition for the number 1 seed. They're young, they're athletic, they're long in all these positions, and not buttering up. Al Horford is one of the most underrated players in the NBA. They got 2 All-Stars instead of 3. They're going to still really be really good. So I wasn't really surprised, even though I enjoyed watching Boston and watching the guys grow. I wasn't surprised by the success because, Brad Stevens is a great coach. They're very talented. They all believe and they buy in.
So I was one of those people who I wasn't shocked that Boston held on to the number 1 seed for most of the season.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, when Gordon went down, people just kind of dismissed Boston almost, which I was pretty surprised by just because, I mean, we're loaded with talent. Like, I don't know why some people thought that like it was the end of the road, you know, or like that our season was magically like going to go to shit. Like, obviously, like you said, it was a huge blow, but not the end of the world at all.
You nailed it. A lot of people just didn't really pay attention to Boston enough to understand that. You know, I saw a lot of complaints when they made the trades for Kyrie and they sent out Avery Bradley and Jay Crowder. Oh, well, Boston traded away all their depth, you know, so I think people, you know, the casual fan didn't understand that, you know, Jaylen Brown was ready to step up for a bigger role. And guys like Marcus Morris were real deal NBA players. He's not just some scrub, you know, called the bench to do, you know, play 10 minutes. He started for a long time in both Phoenix and in Detroit. So, like, I think a lot of people didn't understand. Aaron Baines, he played a small role in Detroit, but like he played for the Spurs, and like everyone, all the front offices know he's one of those. You want him on your team. He's a good player. He's not just some scrub. So yeah, you nailed it. A lot of casual fans didn't understand that.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, in basketball, those takes are so common. Like the people who obviously give Al like a really hard time, or who, you know, people who don't really pay attention to the game. And basketball Twitter, that stuff is everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's kind of one of the most frustrating things is like, if you're not paying attention to our team, then how do you have an informed opinion on our team?
Well, this is you touch on something that's very, it's almost troubling, and it's almost amusing, and it's almost sad. The thing now is not about being right or accurate. It's just saying your opinion as confidently, as loudly as possible. And people are going to take that as almost a fact. I've noticed there's a lot of writers and people I follow who, you know, they prided themselves before on being smart and accurate. Now they're just kind of loud and hot takey. And that's the thing where, you know, they want to be the first to say it. So, you know, if they're wrong, guess what? Nobody's gonna really care. But if they're right, I said this first. So yeah, it's annoying, and it's a Skip Bayless culture, right? Where you can just repeat it over and over again, loudly and long enough, and then people are gonna say, "Hey, this guy knows his stuff." No, you don't know your stuff. You just know how to be annoying.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I mean, I don't know if it's just the whole like social media atmosphere. Like one person sees, you know, someone say it, and then they take it as like 100% truth. But you can't really do that with anything.
It's absolutely like the hive mind, right? That group think.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did talk about the Gordon injury impacting, you know, us a little bit, but are you surprised with how much we've accomplished despite like all of the injuries, you know, like Marcus with his hand and Tice with his knee? And it seems like, you know, we're pretty banged up. So how do you feel like we've handled that?
Well, once Gordon Hayward went down, to me, everything was house money. So, I didn't have a lot of expectations. So everything that's happened has been a pleasant surprise, but not like a shock. You know, I'm not surprised the team has been so successful, but you know, hey, Kyrie only played 60 games. Smart's been in and out of the lineup. You know, Tice was such a big part of it, and then he's just gone. I could say, all right, let me switch gears a little. I am surprised because after every injury, I thought, okay, this is where it kind of falls apart. Okay, this is where it falls apart. Okay. And then Kyrie's been out and they're still playing well. You know, it's to the point, Greg Monroe had an interview the other night and they were asking him, you know, are you surprised? And he goes, no, nothing surprised me anymore at Boston. And that's where I am now. Like every time we think, and it's amazing to me, and this, I'm biased as a Boston Celtics fan, I'm biased, but the fact that there's anyone else in the running for coach of the year is just laughable to me because no other coach had to deal with, you know, the amount of injuries, it's, you know, a rookie who's not just playing big minutes, is playing big, you know, I mean, huge minutes. And then a second year guy playing big minutes. No other coach that is in the discussion for coach of the year has had to deal with any of that stuff. And Brad Stevens just keeps rolling. He keeps rolling. Like it's very impressive. And it makes me really excited to see how things look next season when everybody's healthy and whole and the rosters, you know, they're hungry because they've been doubted and people are going to talk about them all summer. So I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, the Brad Stevens effect, you know, so, I mean, I hope that, you know, people are seriously considering him for coach of the year because he's kept this team together. And like you said, yeah, it's really impressive. So another thing that I wanted to ask was, were you shocked to hear that Kyrie is going to be out for 4 to 5 months?
I really was. It just seems to be like, okay, the Hayward injury, we discussed that enough where, that was shocking. It was horrible. And then Kyrie, he had his concussion. He broke his face. That sucked. And Horford, Al Horford got hurt. I think he had a concussion earlier this year. And finally you think, okay, that's enough. And then that game where Kyrie, that he left at halftime, that's the same game Smart got hurt. The same game, I think, Tice his knee. And then like a couple games later, or maybe that, Jalen he fell on his back and neck and hurt himself. It got to the point, and then Kyrie, all right, he'll be back soon. And then you hear, wait, they found an infection. He's out for the rest of the year. It almost seems like, come on, like what's it? There's one thing that is bad luck, and then there's ridiculous luck, and Boston's luck has been absolutely just, all you can do is kind of laugh instead of crying. It's been so bad. So I was shocked. I was really thought he'd be back for the playoffs. Now, I did say this. I'd rather them just sit him for the playoffs and have him ready for next season than try to rush him back. So if there's any silver lining to it, that we don't have to worry about any kind of reoccurring injury from him coming back, and he does get fully rested. And, so you got to take the any positivity you can from this season. It's been a lot of fun watching these guys grow. Hey, right now, Shemi Ojale is playing outstanding. And, he's been playing great. I think tonight, they lost to the Hawks, but I know he had at least 8 or 10 points and he's hitting his threes. And guys like, Jabari Bird has been a revelation these last 2 games. So those are the kind of things I take joy over this team. But yeah, Kyrie going down and being out for the rest of the, not even come back for the playoffs and not just saying he'll be ready for training camp. That's a big shock, but it's just one more blow to a really crazy Celtics season.
Yeah. And I definitely think that you just have to look at, like you said, try and be positive about it, just because, our young guys are going to be able to grow from this and gain some really valuable experience. And it's, you never want to rush an injury because, they're not only physical, they're mental too. So guys need time to recover. And I think that rest probably is the best thing that these guys can do. So it'll be nice to have a hopefully fully intact team next season. But as far as this season goes, where do you personally predict like our journey is going to end?
So Boston's the 2 seed. They might play the Wizards right now in round 1 or the Bucks. So the fan in me wants to say they can still win that first round series. And I think they can. I don't think it's all is not lost, right? Boston, if everyone plays well and stays relatively healthy, they're going to give any team they play fits in the first round, right? I really think Milwaukee just doesn't have enough firepower around Giannis. And I'm not, John Wall and Beal are still struggling to find their rhythm after Wall was out so long. So they have a puncher's chance in any series. The fan of me wants to say the second round. They get to the second round and they finally bow out in, 6 or 7 tough games. But realistically, I wouldn't be shocked if first round, they go 6, 7 games and they end up losing because there's just not enough scoring. I think. I don't think there's enough quality scoring across that roster right now. Next year or 2 years from now, with Tatum and Jaylen Brown, I'd say they could still make the finals, even if Kyrie went out or Gordon went out. But right now, I think those guys just aren't seasoned enough to, and Al was so amazing. Al Horford was so amazing last playoffs. He's going to do what he does, right? It's just that, his job, that's just not who he is. He's not going to just give you 30 points a game. This is not who he is. He does everything else so well. That's just not who he is. And that's why I love him. That's why he's underrated. But, they just don't have enough firepower, I think, to deal with, let's say John Wall and Beal and Otto Porter start hitting. It's going to be hard to keep up with them on the scoreboard.
Yeah. So if we do come back, when we can fully regroup for next season, do you see, the Celtics getting banner 18?
I know I sound like a homer, but, I was watching some tape on Gordon Hayward in the preseason, like his preseason, highlights. He's going to just add a whole different dimension, and Kyrie's going to be another year of comfortable. And we all Al Horford's comfortable and he knows where guys want the shots, and Jalen's going to be more confident, and Jason's going to be a little stronger and more, more built for the season. As a home, it sounds homerific. I just don't see any other team in the East besides Philly, right? Cause Embiid and Ben Simmons are really tough. And they're young and they're hungry and they're deep. But yeah, I definitely think, I don't see why Boston won't be in the finals next year if everyone plays 70 games and are ready for the playoffs. They're just they're that deep and that versatile and that talented where I don't see any team being able to outlast when they're bringing, 8 guys in who can really just play and give you problems. So I'd be confident next year that Boston's going to be a contender. And if they make the finals, I don't care who they play. I think they're going to give any team the business.
Yeah, I hope so. And I think so too. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with all of that. And I don't know. I just feel like the Celtics have also been like pretty fun to watch and a lot of guys have stepped up and it's actually been kind of surprising how many guys have stepped up and gelled and gotten the job done. So I wanted to ask, who are some of your favorite players to
Marcus
watch?
Smart, on the Celtics is hand down. He's my favorite. He's an absolute favorite because he's a buzzsaw. Even if he's missing shots, even if he, we can talk about his field goal percentage all day. The guy just makes win, and it sounds so cliche. It sounds so almost corny. He makes winning plays, man. He does. That game against the Rockets when they came all the way back from 27 down, and he got those 2 offensive fouls in the last minute. That's Marcus Smart. I also really love Terry Rozier. He's been the revelation to me. Like, as a starter and getting a lot of playing time. I'll be honest. I didn't like the pick when it was made a couple years ago. I didn't know who he was, and he's turned himself into a real deal NBA player, and he's amazing. Jaylen Brown is one of my favorite players in the NBA because he's so aggressive and physical, and he's like a throwback guard, but he's learned how to shoot. There's not a guy on that roster. Shemi Ojeleye he's been awesome. Not a guy on that roster that I don't think I would be sad if he wasn't on the team right now. Even a guy like my man Abdel Nader. Nader's, he's athletic, he's fun, he's kind of like a Labrador Retriever out there. Sometimes he doesn't, do things the right way, but he's fun. I like him.
Yeah, and you can definitely tell he's learning, he's getting obviously more experience and whatnot, and that's what all our young guys are doing, and what Brad's been doing with them, I think is like really awesome. And so yeah, I think they've been a really fun team to watch. So one thing that I've talked to with several people is, and I want to know what you think of the idea of reseeding the playoffs. So it's the top 16 teams playing each other instead of the top 8 from each conference.
I mean, I want that, and I can see why everybody wants that. From the other side, I understand like logistically, it makes things a little tougher. And I mean, I never want to be a traditionalist and say, well, this is how we've always done it. Right. Cause that's just the wrong answer. Like, it's okay to have, new ideas and new perspectives, but is it really, if that's the case, then why even have conferences, and then I'd be fine with that too. So, I would fully support the, we're not going to do the 8 and 8. We're going to just do the best 16. I can see why the East wouldn't want that, even though I think this year the East has been almost as good as the West. So, you know what? I'm doing a lot of talking for no reason. I fully support going just best 16.
Do you see the NBA going for it ever?
I think Adam Silver has even kind of discussed it, like talked about it. I think the owners wouldn't want that because right now, at least with 8 and 8, the East and the West gets 8 teams in. Owners wouldn't like it because, whatever, let's say one league only gets, 4 teams in, the other one gets 12. That's going to be what we're talking 11 teams in that conference that aren't going to get postseason as far as postseason checks, as far as from the gate. So I can see why the owners' bottom line might be like the owners who are the weaker conference, they'd be like, no, I don't want that. So probably not.
Yeah. Do you think it would make it like the game
Absolutely.
more enjoyable?
Because I mean, every year there's teams in the stronger conference that are better than playoff teams from the weaker conference. So every year there's teams that, would make better series that aren't allowed to play because, that's just how the conferences line up, right? Like this year, let's say a team, I can't even think of the teams like the Clippers. I think this year is a little different because there's a lot more parity, but some years like a team would win 43, 44, 45 games in the West and they'd still miss the playoffs. In the East, you'd have a team with like 39, 40 wins, they're under 500 and they're in the playoffs. That's just, then they're going to get smoked in the first round by the number 1 seed. And that's not fun basketball.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Who's the most, just because we're talking about East and West, and I want to know what you think about the East. Who's the most annoying team in the East to you?
Are we talking fan bases or just the team in general?
Maybe both. I don't know. Like, is there a team that you just like can't stand?
You know what? The Heat are their quality and they're deep and they like. I love Coach Spo. I love some of the players there, but the way they play kind of annoys me, and not in a bad way. I'm not being mean to Heat fans or to the Miami Heat. They're a star away. They're a star player away from being like a really, really good team, and they just don't have that star. And their fan base though, because I think a lot of people think the Heat, they boost them up, make them sound better than they really are. Heat culture, and everyone don't you be scared of the Heat. I've been hearing that all. The Celtics better be worried about the Heat, and this is when they had Kyrie, and I'm like, no, they're not worried about it. And lately, Philly is awesome. Philly is one of those teams that can make a leap like Golden State did, where they go from being, hey, it's a nice young team, to being great in a year. But their fan base has been just out of control this season for the most part. And I'm not, hey, there's some good Philly fans out there. You guys survived, they survived the process. Like, awesome. You guys deserve to be happy and to crow and to gloat a little bit, but you guys go over the top a little bit and just go ahead and try to throttle it back a little bit.
Taking it a little too far on social media, maybe.
It seems like if you don't say that the process is the best thing ever since sliced bread and Hinkie is a god, if you don't say those, because there's some people who say, hey, it worked, I still don't like tanking. And then, they got 8,000 people in their mentions telling them that they're an idiot and they're a hater. And Philly fans can be a little over it.
Yeah. And I feel like, all fan bases have like those obnoxious fans. And, I'm not like saying anything about like Boston that way, because I feel like I can't, but they are like, I've said this before, they are extremely intense fans.
I'll say it for you because, hey, Celtics fans are the best in the world. There's a fringe group. I saw someone saying today on Twitter that, hey, calm down, that Philly love. Even without Kyrie, the Celtics would beat, Philly in 4 or 5 games. Even without Kyrie and Hayward. Like, calm down, man. I get you love your team, but let's be realistic.
Yeah. It's interesting. You do get it in every fan base, but yeah, it's also what makes things fun, is being able to, poke at other people and other teams and stuff occasionally. So what is your prediction for the Eastern Conference Finals? Who do you think is going to make it?
I gotta say Boston, and I'm trying to think how's everything line up? Can they play the Cavs in the Eastern Conference Finals? Do the brackets line up where they can face the Cavs in the Eastern Conference Finals? Let's just say Boston. Let's say Boston and Cleveland.
Okay, Boston and Cleveland.
No, I'm
no Raptors.
I'm gonna disrespect Raptors fans right now and say no Raptors.
Okay, I respect that. So how did you become a Boston fan though?
I was raised in South Carolina. I remember when Kevin Garnett was in high school out there and Ray Allen was in high school in South Carolina. And, I came up a Bulls fan, and I'm not gonna lie, I was young. Michael left, Scotty left, and I said, man, this team sucks. I don't want to watch this team anymore. I ended up latching on to Paul Pierce and Antoine Walker and Walter McCarty in Boston. I just kind of, I was just kind of a nomad fan. And then, but those, Paul Pierce was the guy. He was the truth. And then, especially once, Kevin Garnett was my favorite player back then, but I didn't, Minnesota wasn't a team to watch. Ray Allen, I knew, I followed him his whole career, and then they all coalesced in Boston, and that just solidified my Boston love. So I was a Celtics fan before they came, but, then the Shamrocks really came out when Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen teamed up and they won that championship. So.
Yeah, that's cool. I know. I was thinking about that because I was like wondering how, but the Celtics have fans in every single state. They have fans probably in every single country. It's crazy. So yeah. Okay. So we talked Eastern Conference Finals. Who do you see, in the NBA
Steph Curry
Finals?
comes back and he's mostly healthy, then the Warriors are going to be there. If he's not back to at least 80%, I'm going to give it to the Rockets. Yeah. The Rockets, I think they're legitimate this year. Even though I'll say it right now, I think Harden's been shooting like 30% from 3 since March started. So something to keep an eye on. He might be getting a little fatigued.
Yeah. So who from the East?
I got to go with the Cavs again. Yeah. LeBron's going to be LeBron. Okay. Until LeBron gets dethroned, until I see it happen, I don't know. I don't know when it's going to happen.
Did you see the whole, LeBron and Ben Simmons thing, the whole Fresh Prince and the King
I actually
thing?
wrote a little something about that for over at B-Ball Breakdown. You got to go check that out. I wrote about the comparisons between the 2003 draft class and this current draft, the current rookie class, not draft class, because Ben Simmons was actually drafted last year. But yeah, man, it's the similarities are scary. You know, Philly was up almost 30 on the Cavs with Ben Simmons dominating, and then LeBron kind of showed, hey, I'm still the king, even though they lost the game. So that's what I love about the NBA, those kind of moments.
Yeah, no, and I'm a big Ben Simmons fan because I don't know, he's so young, but he's just so like seasoned, you know. And I mean, there's obviously like things that I'm sure he'd like to improve on, but I don't know. I think he's just
like
really
his
fun
demeanor,
to watch.
like you said, he's unflappable. The kid doesn't seem like he gets irked. He doesn't get rattled. And already he's like, I was watching that game against the Cavs when he was hitting the little turnarounds, and he has a nice little 12-footer. It looks like that's going to work for him at his height. So if he can keep hitting that, I don't care if he hits threes. Yeah,
definitely. Okay. So another question for you. And, I'm always curious to hear what people have to say about this, but so if there was one thing you could change about the NBA, what would it be?
The rule where there's no goaltend, right? You can go and get the ball off the cylinder. I would like to see that in the NBA. I would like to see them institute that in the NBA, where once the shot touches the rim, or in fact, no, just no goaltending. So yeah, you can either block it or whatever. So I would love to see that.
Oh no, don't you think that like get out of hand a little bit, or no,
Hey,
like it wouldn't throw off the rhythm?
We have the best
or like
athletes in the world, so we'd have guys averaging, you know, their blocks 4 or 5 blocks a game, and then you'd have to have guys who go to the rim hard, and you better put it down and dunk it, because this guy's going to get out. He's going to knock it out of there if he gets a chance to. It would just add another element, I think. And I think already we're a league where they're so skewed to the offensive players as far as the 3-ball and the way they call, you know, you breathe on a guy coming to the rim, they'll call foul, which the foul's a foul. It would give the defense a little boost.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm thinking about it a little bit, but that's an interesting one. So yeah, I think that's all I have for you.
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for joining me.
My last name is Holas, and your last name is Horford. I think you guys should just adopt me and make me part of the family. Yeah,
totally. I mean, there are 5 of us, so you'd fit right in. Our parents probably wouldn't even notice. That'd be funny. All right. Well, thanks again. And you guys can catch up on all my other episodes on iTunes, Stitcher, and the CLNS Media Network. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will talk to you guys again next week.